ABD to PhD show, we're going to talk about the reasons why you need a dissertation coach. It's so great to be with you all again. I'm Dr. Ramon Goings, founder of Done Dissertation and host from ABD to PhD. At Done Dissertation, we work with doctoral students to demystify the dissertation process so that they can write and defend a dissertation in 1 year or less. In today's video, I really want to talk about why you may need a coach at this point, because in the famous words of one of our clients now, Dr. Ron Miller, he mentioned this to us one time during one of our workshops, and he said, and I'm going to quote him directly, he said, "You never go on a new journey that you never traveled before without a guide." And when he said that, that really resonated because a lot of us have tried to go through a process and try to get things done. And sometimes doing it our own way doesn't get us the expected result that we want. So on this episode, I really want to talk about why you might need a coach and what are the benefits and what you can gain from having someone to support you through this process. And in this episode of From ABD to PhD is sponsored by the Done Dissertation Velocity Group Coaching Program. In our Velocity Group Coaching Program, we're going to work with you over the next 4 months to help you write and defend either your dissertation proposal or your final dissertation if you're a past proposal defense. So if you're someone who is interested in this, if you're watching this on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, you can go ahead and scan the QR code that is on the screen. It will take you directly to our page to learn more about our program. And there you can also apply to work with us. And if you're on Instagram, if you click the link in our bio, you can go to our application page or visit www.velocitydissertation.com. And if Renee, if you're still on Instagram for me, if you could just type it in, I'll pin it so folks have it in the Velocity, in the Instagram on this live as well. So again, we really want you all to start thinking about what are the reasons why, and why might it be helpful for you to start thinking about, is a coach the route to go, and do you need that support? And so before we get into the material, if you're on live, I would love for you to drop a comment in. Let me know who you are, where you're coming from, and how we can be of support as you are finishing your process. So I'd love to hear about where you are in your journey, even what your topic's about. So let us know in the comments. If you happen to watch this on the replay, drop us a note and let us know where you're coming from and what you're doing for your dissertation, because we again want to be of best support to you all. But what I want to talk about today, when we think about coaching, right? First things first, you got to think about the fact that the dissertation process is nothing more than a journey, right? It's a journey that you're going on. But for most of us, unless you are going for a second doctorate, so I know there's some overachievers in the group. So this might be you. If you're the overachiever, you gotten your doctorate already, you don't need this particular piece of advice. But if you're someone who is trying to figure out, do I need support? What's happening? At this point, you probably have realized that you are on this journey and you need a roadmap to get through the process, because for a lot of us, we have not experienced the success that we had as fast as we want to, because maybe there have been some things along our journey that severely impacted our progress. And remember, for many of us, again, that we're doing something that we haven't done before. And there's always this saying, we hear from our clients all the time, and students that when we do workshops, they always say this phrase, like, "I don't know what I don't know." And as a student, sometimes while you understand what the end goal is, right? Like everybody says, "Look, I'm trying to get this dissertation done." I know it was one of our clients who just joined last couple days. All they could say is like, "I just need to get this thing done. Do you understand me, Dr. Goins?" I'm like, "I get it. I know you're trying to get this thing done. I get that's the goal." But sometimes we get so focused, and not even focused, but we just all we're looking at is the end result. But there's this terrain that's in front of us, and because we're so far down the road, we're not able to see the things in front of us. And so with that, because you don't have all the pieces, sometimes it's helpful to get some support to, shore up the road and make sure that you are navigating the pathway in the least path of resistance. Like, for instance, when you're working with a coach, there are things that will happen in your process all the time. We're going to talk about that today. But when you have a coach, there's someone that's going to bring you along with you along the journey. And so I really want you all to start thinking about that as you're figuring out, is a coaching the right standpoint for me? And if I have any current clients that's on, they can tell you kind of like how things operate in our program. Shout out to Ricky, who is on right now, one of our current clients in the program from South Carolina. Thank you for dropping in. And so I want to talk about today 3 of the main reasons why at this point of the process where a coach becomes very beneficial. The first point is that, every doc student needs a coach or guide that can help them demystify the process. So one of the things that I do know, and I hear from doctoral students all the time, they're like, "Look, Dr. Goins, there is something that is going on in my doc program. I don't understand it, and there's no one to tell me what's really happening. So it's like I'm trying to navigate this. I'm trying to move things along. I'm trying to move things forward, but I feel like I don't have all the pieces, and so it's hard for me to make a move and make decisions at times." And so if this happens to you, let me know in the comments. But this is quite often the case. And there are indeed some hidden and sometimes mysterious rules uh, that go along with this doctoral journey. And some of the mystery of it is sometimes based in your program as well. So, but when you have a doctoral dissertation coach, what ends up happening is that they are someone who is able to help you kind of get a sense of direction when you don't feel like you have direction. Because what I do know is, as a doc student, when you don't have a sense of direction, rather than trying to put a little step forward, what it will do is paralyze most people. And so if you have been paralyzed at any point in this process, and what I mean by that is not the fact that you're not thinking about your dissertation, but because you don't know where to go and where to start, rather than just trying to fumble your way through, you just say, I'm not going to do anything until I really get some clarity. And for a lot of us, that clarity, what we thought was going to be a semester's worth, maybe to get clarity, has turned into 6 months, turned into 8 months. And then next a year has gone by. All these things start to add up, and it adds up really quickly. And shout out to Allison, our Georgia, here struggling with my chair. Chair's ghost just told me to write my proposal with no direction. Oh, we could talk about that, Alyssa, for sure. I've seen that happen a lot of times, and I'm going to talk about strategy on how to do that. But really, this is where we help a lot of our clients in our program really navigate this thing, because it's hard to know what you don't know, and the process can be just so mysterious. And so what we do in terms of how we work with our clients in our Velocity Group coaching program is, the first things first is that one of the goals when I started doing this, I was working with clients initially one-on-one, and it grew because our company grew into a group program. What I started to notice is that I kept hearing the same questions about the mystery of the process. And so as I kept hearing those same questions over and over and over again, I had to recognize, all right, based on these commonalities, there are some trends that have happened and that I could take the mystery out of for a lot of doc students immediately. And so one of the pieces in our Velocity Group coaching program that we do is that we actually have a curriculum that lays out the process from beginning to end, because there's nothing worse than not knowing what's happening and knowing how to go. So our curriculum teaches you each aspect of the process, from how to start out with. So if you are someone who is just starting out and you don't have a chair in place, you don't have a committee, how to think through constructing that chair, getting a chair, constructing the committee, and how to work with them. Two, how do you handle a committee who is unresponsive, like Alyssa mentioned, that you might have a chair who's ghost. I've seen it, all these things happen. We've helped so many doctoral students at this point. We've seen all the scenarios that play out, and our curriculum is the first stop for our clients in order to get the support that they need to take the mystery off of the process. And I think one of the strengths of our curriculum and what's important to you all as students is, like, not only understanding what's happening in the process, but also understanding what are your professors really thinking when they're looking at your work. What are they thinking about in your interactions? Because this is really important to navigating the process. It's not always about the work output that you do. It's all about sometimes the relationship building component. And for many of us, a lot of times we haven't had the chance to interact with folks who will really break this thing down in a way and kind of show you behind the scenes of what's happening. And in our curriculum, we do that because I think it's important. And then secondly, what we do with a lot of our clients, and where a lot of our clients get a lot of benefit, and where sometimes when you have, chairs who are unresponsive, is that our group, we meet weekly. Because I promise you, and this, Alyssa, tell me if this is the case. If you're still on, Alyssa, tell me if this is the case. Drop me a comment. That is nothing worse that when you have a question about how to write something and you submit it to your chair for, to get a response, that you may not hear from them for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months. Some may say, hey, I don't answer any questions until you submit to me a document. There's so many ways that chairs and faculty, usher doctoral students through the process. So you may have experienced this, but there's nothing worse to this, because what ends up happening is, because it took so long to get feedback, by the time they may have responded, you had a chance to have a conversation. Now you have 5 more questions, but those 5 questions were really grounded and based on that first question that went unanswered for so long. And so this can get very frustrating. I see a lot of our clients, and particularly folks before they start working with us, get very frustrated and be like, you know what, forget this. I'm just through. I'm not going to be bothered with this anymore. And some folks decide to stop. And that is the thing that we try to help our clients do, because we know that the first step in order to getting through this process is demystifying everything. And this is where a coach really comes in handy, because you want someone who's actually been where you're going and also gotten people through over and over and over again. And Alyssa, I'm assuming this is you with this comment. All I see is Facebook user, but I'm assuming this is you. You said exactly, or she sends me on a wild goose chase like to the library. Yeah, that's not. That's definitely not what we do, and that's not very beneficial. But we have ways in terms of how we help our clients in order to navigate those types of relationships, because it's all about interpersonal skills. Sometimes with chairs who are unresponsive. So we talk a lot about that with our clients in our Velocity Group coaching program. So just so you all know, that is something that really does happen. And folks are ghosts. You got to navigate a lot of different things, and we make sure that you all get the support that you need. Shout out to Dr. Varela, one of our coaches on Instagram. Hope all is well. I'm just looking through the comments I had. Let's see. Shashang. Oh, good to see you. Good to hear from you. She says, yes, just sign up with Dr. Goins. I know I'll get this done for sure. We're about to get working, get that thing on and going. So it's good to have you with the Done Dissertation family. And shout out to my mentor, Dr. Margarita Bianco. I hope you're still on. Thank you so much. She says, thanks for sharing your brilliance. Dr. Bianco, I appreciate you as always for your support and mentorship. When y'all got good mentors, I'm trying to tell y'all, it's just, it really helps you propel you to the next level. And Dr. Bianco has been that in my career. So when I tell you all to invest and get support and coaching, I do the same thing. I have support systems and structures in place, people that have helped me, including Dr. Bianco, who's tuning in from LinkedIn. These things are really important as you are navigating this process. But again, in this episode, we are, for folks who just joined on, we are talking about all things about why you'll get a coach and what are the benefits of having a coach. So first thing I talk about was the aspect of they help you demystify the process. So if you're someone who's like, hey, I might need some support and I'm interested in learning more, I would invite you to scan the QR code. If you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, you can scan the QR code. It'll take you directly to the site so you can learn more about our program. And you'll be there on the page. You can click the apply now button and you can fill out application to look into working with us. And again, our Velocity Group Coaching Program is structured over 4 months to help you write and defend either your dissertation proposal or final dissertation in 4 months. We're not about having folks take forever to get through this process. We want people to move quickly and really try to condense the time frame if you're willing to put the work in. And so with that, one thing we have to consider is that not only about, once thinking about the process being demystified. So once we do that, where it becomes helpful to having a coach is that you have someone who is able to guide you and help you navigate the processes and things to avoid and those various scenarios that will impact your progress. What have we seen a lot of times for folks is that, sometimes, again, you don't know what you don't know, and it can become very frustrating as you're trying to progress through a program when you don't have all the answers. But even when you start to see the whole landscape, sometimes there are just situations that pop up that will just have a total way of derailing you and in your journey. And so I want to give you a couple of examples from folks that have been in our program and what they've experienced. So I remember one of our clients who's now a doctor, finished their dissertation last year. They had written everything up, got through the dissertation process, was getting ready for the committee to look at the final document. And then at that point in the process, they had some questions about the findings. And, what we thought through was that there was a couple options a student had. Either they submit the document as is and kind of let the feedback be what it is, or they actually present their findings to the chair and committee before the defense to kind of give an idea of what they had in their findings so the committee can be comfortable, in particular the chair. And when they did this, it actually allowed the chair to feel way more comfortable where things were going and progressing with that particular student. And in a similar example with the same student, it got to a point when they collected all their data and written up their initial findings that before they did this presentation, I mentioned that the committee actually wanted them to go and collect more data. Imagine now if you have, written and done about 6, 7, 60 pages, 70 pages worth of content, and then someone tells you have to go back and add more data. That could be disalarming not disalarming, but it could be a thing that happens that just distracts you and derails you from finishing your dissertation. And a lot of us don't think about that until it's too late about how to navigate it, because what some students will do is just be like, oh, forget this committee, I'm out of here and I'm moving on. But that is not the route. And we help coach this student through on how to navigate these politics and how to do what they needed to do to satisfy the committee and not put so much work on themselves that it felt like they were doing so much that it was taking them off course. So sometimes you need someone who's kind of help you, see the whole process and get that scholarly advice. I think where for a lot of clients of ours and where it's helpful for you, or where the benefits of a coach comes in, is that when you're getting feedback from committee members. Like, one thing I do know from y'all, and let me know in the comments if this is you, one thing y'all sometimes can be scared of, and it kind of frightens you to some extent, is the feedback that you're going to get from your committee and your chair, or lack thereof. Some of y'all don't get any feedback. That's a whole nother issue. But for folks who are getting feedback, there's nothing worse to that process, because some of us are like, I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know how I'm going to address it. And I don't know how to move through this thing. And this could be something that you all can paralyze folks' feedback. I talk about it all the time because it's so important, because one thing I do know, if you do not submit your dissertation, your chapter, your proposal, your final dissertation, you are not finishing the process. That is 100% fact. I will stamp that on anything. I promise you, if you don't submit your work, you're not getting out of your program. Now that is settled, feedback is going to be your friend, but you have to have a way to think through and process the feedback. This is something in our curriculum. We give our clients a step-by-step process on how to take in feedback, what to do with it, and then how to respond to the feedback, how to address the feedback, and then how to create this working relationship with your chair and committee so that they know that you're a serious scholar when they give you feedback, that you really take in consideration as to what they're saying, even if you do not agree. So we teach our clients also about when you don't agree with feedback, how to respond. These are things, again, that when you have someone who not only understands the dissertation process and has a doctorate, right? That's one piece. But you're looking for a coach who's been actively involved in the research process, because here's why. Researchers, we have a unique skill set in terms of, and particularly folks who are actively involved in research, publishing, and really engaging in that process. That mindset and thought that leads to those publications and that engaging in that research is a lot of times the same process that your committee members are looking at your work through. So if you have a coach who might have been through the process but doesn't really understand the research that well, that could be to your detriment. So you always want folks who are really, focused on getting, who are focused as researchers. And so that's all, myself, my coaches, all of us are highly productive scholars, in addition to, coaching doctoral students through this process, because that's one thing I know that's a difference maker when you're getting support. And you need somebody who's going to give you that critical feedback and that key eye. But again, you have to be quickly become very comfortable with receiving feedback, or else this process will not be helpful for you, and you'll just get frustrated because you are not getting the things that you need. And so someone says that the process can be stressful, and I'm sure feedback can be a stressful part of the journey for you. It is for a lot of folks, but what that deals with under that, a lot of times, while we're scared of feedback, because we're not confident in the work. And so I find when our clients, they shift and have this confidence boost, once their confidence goes up, it becomes like, oh, I'm actually interacting with colleagues. It's not just my professor who I'm scared or terrified of giving me feedback. It becomes like, oh no, these are people who we're engaging in this scholarly banter and back and forth, and we're going to figure out together how to move my project along. And this is something that's really important. And then third, when you're thinking about this, when you're getting help in terms of understanding the scenarios, right? So I talked about, getting scholarly advice, also in terms of how to respond to feedback. Another piece where a coach becomes very, very beneficial in terms of, these scenarios that pop up is around your defense. So just yesterday, I was on 3 defenses. All day I was on Zoom. I had, one proposal defense. Actually 3. All 3 were proposal defenses yesterday. Shout out to AB for successfully defending his dissertation. Congratulations. We'll put out something for you soon. So shout out to AB, who is a Dunn Dissertation alum who defended yesterday. Also shout out to one of my doc students at UMBC. Shout out to soon to be Dr. Pollock. Shout out to you for successfully defending your dissertation proposal. I'm looking forward to seeing your project, right? And so when we are in these defenses, and also shout out to one of my own advisees who's getting ready to defend next week. We're working through their defense prep. So one thing I saw, and what we do with a lot of our velocity clients, is that you have to have a defense that's structured in a particular way that makes your defense a conversation versus it being an interrogation. And so when a lot of people think about defenses, whether it's your final defense or your proposal defense, they feel like it's going to be an interrogation. But that's only when you don't have the proper coaching and guidance to create your presentation in a way that shifts that dynamic. And this is really important in how we help a lot of our clients finish this process faster, because when you're thinking about the dissertation defense, that can also bring up a lot of anxiety for folks. Like, how am I going to do this? Are they going to challenge me? Am I going to be confident in my, how I address my methods? Like, all those questions pop up. And so how we help our clients is that when they are ready for their defense, so shout out to, I got another client, Kat, next week, who's getting ready to defend. They come to us, we work through their defense presentation. We give them first in our curriculum, we give them the whole template on how to structure it first, so that they know what are the pieces they need to touch on to ensure that it turns into a conversation versus an interrogation. And then once they finish their presentation with us, we actually pepper them with questions so that when they get to their actual defense, it's no issue. They feel successful, not successful, but they feel confident in their responses. It makes the process easy. And one thing I do love about the doctoral process is the defense. That's one of my specialties. I love it. It's one of my favorite parts when people start asking me questions, because I'm an expert on the topic. If you're an expert on your topic, you welcome questions because it becomes a conversation. Even if, for instance, someone asks you a question, you don't know directly the answer, but if you're someone well-versed in your area, you can come up with a response that either asks them to probe their, you either probe their question further to get them to really get at what they're trying to ask you. Because sometimes people make a comment into a question, or it might be just be you elaborating on some other things that are related and can kind of go around what the question might have been. And so those are all strategies that we help our clients deal with as they're preparing for their proposal and final defenses. That's why we get to that point. Our folks have 100% success rate at their defenses, which should be the case anyway. But I've seen some doctoral students who unfortunately come to us after they've had an unsuccessful defense. And I will say that's lack of, mentorship from the chair and committee, because that's unfortunate. You shouldn't get to that point. But, that could be the reality for some folks. But we make sure that we want our students to be very successful and very prepared for the defense. And that's something that's really important when you have a coach that can help you deal with that. And then also when we're thinking about these scenarios that pop up, one of the last scenarios that often pops up for you all is like, how do you navigate the life and university politics? Just to give you a couple of examples, I had one client who's actually getting ready to defend in a couple of weeks. So shout out to you, a soon-to-be doc, getting ready to defend. But it was at one point during the proposal part of the process, this particular client was fed up and was getting ready to send an email to their committee member and to their chair in particular. That was not the best email to send. And honestly, it would have done a lot of harm rather than good, even though the points they were making were very valid, but the presentation of it was off-putting. It would have been off-putting to a faculty member. And so what we did is had to sit with the client and actually explain, not from the student perspective, but help them look at what is the faculty going to look at when they see this email. And so once we broke that down, it made sense to the client. They didn't send that email. And then they had another way to address the problem at hand, which was a problem, but there was a different way and a different solution on how they need to go about that. But it becomes really important. That's where a coach can be like, all right, no, don't go down that road and send that email. Delete that email. Let's keep the same thoughts. Let's reframe it. And now we can create a conversation versus it being you interrogating your professor. Again, that's one example. And then also, and this goes at, let's see, I think it was Alyssa or Lisa. So excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that. But, her idea of talking about she has a ghost chair. So we have a client should be defending their proposal any day now, who's ready and waiting to get a defense date, but they have also a chair who is ghost. And so literally what we had to strategize about, like, all right, what are the ways that this chair has been ghost? And so we talked about what methods of communication do they not respond to? What methods do they respond to? And then it ended up being, well, there's an opportunity to see this person in person. So what are my client doing? And actually, they're doing it right now. So shout out to you. So I hope to get this email tomorrow about what ended up happening is that they're showing up to an event to hopefully see that ghost chair. Now that you're in person, now you can't be unresponsive if you might have been to email or text. It's different when you're in person. So now this client is going to get that support that they need to possibly get a date on the calendar or at least move things forward with that particular committee member. These are the things that when you have a coach, it really does help you navigate this process. And for some of us, we don't think about it until it's too late and we're trying to scramble to pick up the pieces. So it's like, why not get the support that you need now to navigate this process? And this is why we always tell folks who are interested in getting support, we always say, apply to our program. It makes no sense to be stuck stagnant in the same place when you get support and have a coach that can literally lift you up out of the mud that you're in, that you're stuck in, the quicksand. We have the solution to get you out of the quicksand and get you back on pavement and get you back on path. And that is something that, is very valuable to you as a doctoral student because you all have so much you want to do after the program. And with that, for folks who, again, I see some people just joining in today's episode, we're talking about all things about why you may need a dissertation coach and why you might benefit from a coach as you're going through this process. And this episode of From ABD to PhD is sponsored by the Done Dissertation Velocity Group Coaching Program. It's a 4-month coaching experience with the goal to help you, the doctoral student, write either your dissertation proposal and defend it or your final dissertation and defend it within the next 4 months. We're trying to fast track the process and give you the strategy and structure. If you're willing to put in the work, we'll help you get there quickly as long as you're ready to rock and roll. And so what I would love for you to do, you can scan the QR code if you are watching this on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or you can visit www.velocitydissertation.com. And if you're on Instagram, you can click the link in our bio to take you right to the site. Take a look at what we're doing. Take a look at our client testimonials so you can learn about how our clients have benefited from the program, and then go ahead and apply. And we will have a series that we're going to be running, kind of talking about the successes of our clients, because one thing I love to do is promote our clients. Like they're phenomenal. I mean, I got clients right now who are working at the U.S. House of Representatives to clients who are, in high level positions, dean positions, vice provosts. All these positions are doing great work now that they've earned their doctorate. And so, these are the things we want to celebrate. We want to celebrate our clients who are doing amazing work. And so again, if you're interested in applying, visit www.velocitydissertation.com. And so the last point I want to talk about and the reasons why you might benefit from a coach in this process is that I think every doc student, and you all probably can agree, you need someone to cheer you on and provide you the courage to continue even when things get tough. Because there's one thing, and I keep saying it over and over again, because I just want you all to recognize that this is the case for the process. This process, while we will help you get on a linear path to success, there are some bumps along the road that you will have to overcome and experience. But where coaches come in is that, they help support you and kind of give you the strategy on how to navigate those particular bumps in the road. And particularly give you the courage, because one thing I do know is that when you all have courage as doc students, because you have support and you have this belief and you have this confidence, there is nothing that you all can't do. And I've seen it over and over again with our clients who come in feeling kind of like disgruntled, not even disgruntled, but just beat down by the dissertation. And then when they get into that environment and that supportive group that we have in our group coaching program, next thing you know, that confidence meter goes up. And then when the confidence comes, your courage comes. So when the courage comes, you then start to, be more willing to write those papers over or respond to feedback or be willing to submit your work, because you know that it is well worth it because you have an impact to make in the field. Those are all the things we got to start thinking about. And just to give you an example, we literally just had one of our clients talk about this last night during our coaching call, was this idea that, they had so many other life things that were happening, was impacting their journey in the process. But I got to give them a shout out, because despite all of that, because they were in the group, they felt like they had an encouragement and a support network where they felt like, well, I'm experiencing these things, and while life is very hard right now, I'm still going to progress and keep things forward. And it was just amazing to see their resilience and what they've been able to do despite all the things that for most doc students, quite honestly, would take them out. But this is where the power of our program comes in, when folks are able to get in an environment that cultivates that confidence. Because for a lot of us, particularly Black and brown folks in these doctoral programs, I do know, depending on your institution, that these institutions will beat you down as you go through the process. So by the time you got into your doctoral program feeling chipper and you wanted to get into this work, by the time you get to the dissertation, you are beat up. For some of us, some of us also have very positive experiences. So I'm not going to generalize that, but many of us have been beat down along this journey. And so this is something we have to consider along the road, and where getting support and having a coach to kind of help guide you and just keep you sane throughout this process is really important. This is why back a couple of months ago, we ran and did a mental health panel, because we know the importance of mental health in getting through the dissertation journey. And this is something we have to consider as you're going through the process. And then again, this community aspect is that that you're not alone. For many of you, you've been going through the program. We hear this over and over again, like, look, I had no support. I wasn't a cohort when I first started, but I've taken so long to finish. My cohort members have graduated. I don't have anybody to kind of help keep me accountable and have that support structure. And again, that's where our clients really benefit from. And where having a coach benefits you as you go along this journey. Look, we're always from the mindset, I'm always to be upfront and honest with folks. Like, hey, the dissertation in the Velocity Group Coaching Program may not be for everybody, right? But if you're someone who's been stuck, trying to do it your way and been going around in circles and not experiencing the success, you have to figure out something different. And getting support might be one of those steps, whether it's with us or someone else out there. Make sure that you get that support. And one thing just to consider, just do your fact checks, including us. You look me up, Google Scholar me, like Google Scholar coaches. This is something that you want to do your fact checking on, because a lot of folks, there's some just scammers out here, to be quite honest with you. I know for some of you all who follow me on LinkedIn, I had somebody literally was copying my content who was claiming to be a coach, but literally they were just taking the stuff that I was posted on my page. Like, these things happen, so just do your due diligence, because it's really important. That's why I put out these videos. I want you all to understand the expertise that we bring in our Velocity Group Coaching Program, so that like, all right, these folks really know what they're talking about and how to get people through. And then lastly, I'll just leave with the question I always ask folks who are thinking about and considering is that, like, you may start to think about, well, I got to invest in that. Like, it's going to cost me. It's like, yeah, it's going to cost you. Right now, without investing, it's costing you a lot of time. Well, it's not costing you necessarily money to some extent, right? Y'all paying for tuition, but it's costing you time. And that's time that you could be spending with family members. That's time that you can have back to, apply for those upper level positions. That's time you can have back to do other scholarly things that bring consulting income and all those other pieces to your life. And so I always ask folks, like, are you, something's going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice something: time, money, energy. Something's going to have to give. You have to figure out what that is for you. And in our program is definitely not cheap. We are not doing that because we want to provide a great experience for you all. And we want a student who is ready to invest and put in the work. Like, look, I'm not for folks who are going to invest and do nothing. That is not what we're here to do. We want folks who invest and are willing to put the groundwork in to get done. So if that is you, if you're someone who's willing to do the work and just need the support and structure and the guidance and the push, we can help you. And so if that's you, we definitely recommend that you apply to our program. You can visit www.velocitydissertation.com. Or if you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, you can scan the QR code that is on the screen right now. If you scan the QR code, it'll take you right to the website, and then you can click on Apply Now to apply to the program. But with that, I want to stop there and take any questions. And I hope this, again, was helpful, things to think about as you're navigating and thinking through getting a coach. But I think it's important, and it's something that even as myself, as someone who's a faculty member, I've invested in coaching. I've been in coaching programs for faculty. And also as a business owner, we've been in coaching programs that Renee and I have been in coaching programs to help us as business owners. Like, these are the things we actively invest in because we know if there's someone who's been to where we want to go, why not learn the cheat code from them and get the process faster than us trying to piecemeal it all together? Because I know for a lot of y'all might have probably been looking on YouTube, trying to figure all this thing out, like getting these random videos, trying to see, all right, can I piece it together? Can I piece it together? Can I do the free workshops? Can I put everything together? And you recognize that it might not just be enough to get you to where you need to go. So you might need to invest something more than just your time to get through the process. And that's where we can become and be of help as you navigate this journey. And so with that, I have someone, I think it's Alyssa, says it's costing me tuition out of my pocket right now. That is 100% fact. We found that with our clients, by us saving them a year of being enrolled in school by investing in our coaching program, that they are saving upwards of $18,000 in tuition costs. Like, that is substantial, because if you start adding 18,000 plus student loan interest, the interest rates on these loans, like, that stuff adds up quickly. And next, that stuff blossoms and balloons very fast. And so it's important that sometimes you need to invest to get the quickest route possible so that you can cut off paying tuition and doing all those things so that you can finish faster. And this is something that you really got to start considering as you are navigating the process. And why not have and do so in a community with this excellent scholars? Like, our clients are phenomenal and really just like-minded and just want the end result and want the goal and are willing to put in the work to get there. And that's why we love working with our folks in the Velocity Coaching Program. So if it's something you're interested in, visit www.velocitydissertation.com. With that said, I want to leave it a couple minutes here for some questions. I'll be happy to take any questions you all might have about what's happening with your process and how we can be of support. Or anything you want to know about the program, I'd be happy to answer. And shout out to while y'all are thinking about questions, shout out to our Velocity clients that are getting ready to defend over these next 3 weeks. Like, these defenses are rapid fire. Folks are getting ready to get out of these programs. I definitely got to shout out Dr. Dana Jones for successfully defending at Liberty University. So proud of you, and the regalia looks great. So I know you're looking forward to going to graduation. Super dope. I love that you got through this process, being a teacher and doing all that great work that you are doing. So I'm looking forward to see how things blossom from there with you along this journey. And so, yeah, Dr. Jones was our 6th student to earn their doctorate in 2023. We have another one who's defending in about 2 weeks or so. And then we have some other folks who are getting ready, who are finishing up proposal defenses and getting ready to engage in data collection, and then should be finishing over the next couple of months. So Yashima, you asked, is the program 4 months? So yeah, our coaching program is 4 months. And so our goal is to get you to either your proposal or final defense in that 4-month time frame. But we know in some cases things pop up, things happen where folks are, waiting for a defense. So sometimes it's just not your fault. It's just sometimes the committees move so slow that you've outpaced the committee. And so you're waiting for them to give you feedback, or you're waiting for something. So we do have options for our folks after they finish their 4-month time with us in different capacities, because we know our clients are at very different points after the 4 months. And so we have different options on the back end for folks after they work with us. But our initial core program is 4 months. And so we will get you to whatever it is, your proposal or final defense. If you let me know where you are, I can be more specific in terms of what would be your goal over the next 4 months. So just give me, Yashima, like a little bit of insight. Like, are you in data collection? Are you writing? Tell me what you're doing right now, and I can give you a better idea of where you would be after that 4 months, what our plan for you would be. Any other questions folks might have? And so again, for folks who are dropping out, I'll just leave the QR code up. So if people want to scan and need to go to the website, they can do so. For our folks on Instagram, you can just click the link in our bio and go right there. Again, it's velocitydissertation.com to learn more about our program and to apply. And we're again so proud of our graduates. So if you ever want to talk to them, I'd be happy to connect you with our folks who have been in the program. Folks are phenomenal and doing great work. And so we're just super, super proud of what people have been able to do while working with us so far. But again, this year, while people are coming up with questions, like I mentioned, we had 6 folks who finished. And Dr. Dana Jones was our last one. We had, let's see, this year we had Dr. Asia Jones. Let's see now, Dr. Tiffany Baisden, Dr. Tiffany McBean, Dr. Ron Miller. I'm trying to think, who else have we had? It's been a list. I got to look at my list now, y'all. We got folks are just starting to finish, rapid fire. So, our goal is to help at least 1,000 doctoral students earn their doctorate. So you all working with us is really helping us to do that and fulfill that mission. All right. So, Yashima, you said I just finished writing chapter 3 and moving into chapter 1 during the summer session. Gotcha. Okay. So you may be writing out of order. That's perfect. So then, yeah, we would help you to finish up and wrap up. I'm assuming chapter 1 and then chapter 2. I don't know if you completed. Okay. You completed chapter 2. Perfect. So for you, it'll just be, let's hurry up and finish and help you think through chapter 1, manage the feedback that you would get with your committee, and then get you ready for your proposal defense. So hopefully I would hope that if you finish chapter 3 or you finish chapter 1 and they approve it, that you can defend this sometime this summer. So our goal will be to get you to your proposal defense, and then also getting IRB application done and all those paperwork pieces if that's required for the type of study that you might be doing. And so again, that's something we would help you figure out. But to know more, we just need to see your document. And again, if you apply, we ask for a writing sample to kind of see your dissertation in its current format, just to make sure we're your best support. So if you go to our website at velocitydissertation.com, click the link to apply. And then from there, you can submit your application and submit your writing sample. And I can give you, you'll schedule a call with our team and talk with Renee about, how the program works and how we can help you get to the finish line. Okay, proposal defense is fall 2023. Perfect. So we make sure you have everything ready so that you're ready to rock and roll as soon as faculty come back or when they start back up fall of 23. And then strategize on your study. So that's where a lot of times where we are very helpful because our coaches, myself, Dr. Varela, Dr. Boyd, who's a coach for us, Dr. Walker, like a lot of us who have helped our clients, like we are actually really great researchers. And so sometimes we help you all think through your studies as well and help you speed things up. Because sometimes you all are thinking about your research in such a long-winded pattern that, hey, if we make this particular shift in your method, it allows you to collect a lot faster. Or, hey, you can do this slightly different. And your chair has already suggested you go that route. And, it makes sense. And so these are the things we help you think through sometimes that you haven't considered because you just don't know what you don't know. And when you have guidance from active researchers, that is where we could be of extreme value to you all as doctoral students. But are there any other questions? Yoshima, that was a great question. I look forward to seeing your application. And if you find me somewhere else, just make sure you DM me. I know YouTube, I can't, but if you find me somewhere else, I'd be happy to engage in a chat with you. Are there any other questions? And again, thank you all so much for dropping in on this, Tuesday. But what you all can do for me would be very helpful. If you hit subscribe on YouTube, if you already haven't been subscribed, and then also share this out with somebody. If you know somebody needs some help, send them this video. Don't be selfish. Like, send this out. People may need help. People might benefit from this and why they may need some support at this point. And if you are a spouse of someone who's working in a doctorate, send it to them because they need help too. When we were at a conference recently, we had a lot of, not necessarily the students, but their spouses come to our booth and say, hey, my wife or my husband, they need help. Can you help them right now? Because I'm tired of them being stuck ABD in this process. It's too many years. I need them back. And so, these are the things that if you're a spouse, send this off to somebody who can benefit from it. But I'll leave it open right now for another minute or so to take any last questions. But if not, I hope you all have a great week. And I look forward to seeing you all next week on the next episode. But I'll give you all another minute or so if there's any last question before we hop off tonight. And just to put in your ear, be on the lookout. We're going to have something new coming for you all for the summer. We know a lot of folks are trying to figure out how do I take advantage of these summer months. So just be on the lookout for that. If you're not part of our community yet on email or text, make sure you do that. Go to our website, grab one of the free guides so you can be involved in our community. So you have all the things that you might need to finish the process. And again, if you need help right now, apply to our program. Like, do what you need to do. Go to velocitydissertation.com, get the support that you need. But thank you so much, everybody who tuned in. Thank you to Shima. Thank you to Ricky. Thank you to Alyssa. Thank you to Shashane. Thank you to everybody who has dropped in tonight and put comments in. We really value that. We value engagement and support. And I just want to say thank you all so much. And with that, I will see you all soon. And if you need help, again, velocitydissertation.com to apply. And I'm Dr. Ramon Goings.